There was a time when governments ruled with iron fists and constitutions. Presidents made decisions. Parliaments passed laws. Kings fell. Democracies rose, and the people believed power rested in ballots and borders. But today, in 2025, that illusion is cracking like an old facade under pressure. Because while we were busy debating left versus right, red versus blue, something far more calculated was taking shape. Quietly, boardrooms replaced ballrooms. CEOs became more powerful than senators. Algorithms shaped policy before politicians even opened their mouths. And now the question everyone is too scared to ask is echoing through the corridors of democracy. Has business already killed government? It starts with influence, subtle at first. Campaign contributions cloaked in political action committees. Corporate lobbyists slipping in and out of congressional offices with briefcases full of legal bribes and policy wish lists. In the US alone, corporations spend over $3.5 billion annually on lobbying, dwarfing the salaries and budgets of most public offices. And it's not just about influencing laws. It's about writing them. Pharmaceutical giants help draft healthcare policy. Oil companies shape climate legislation. Tech behemoths advise on data privacy while harvesting yours. The same companies fined for abuses are often the same ones chosen to consult with the very governments regulating them. But influence was only the first phase. Ownership came next. Prisons privatized. Schools, many now run by charter corporations. Public transportation, managed by for-profit firms. Even water, yes, water is increasingly owned by private entities, who charge the public for access to what used to be a basic human right. In Flint, Michigan, and Jackson, Mississippi, the consequences of that privatization are on full display. Dirty water, broken pipes, profit before people. But here is the real kicker. It is not that government services are being run badly. It's that they're being hollowed out on purpose. Defund the public service until it barely functions. Declare it broken. Hand it over to a private contractor who promises efficiency. Let them run it for profit. Repeat, it's not failure, it's a strategy, and it works. Because the public, exhausted and underpaid, will accept anything that sounds more efficient. Enter Amazon, which is quietly bidding on government logistics contracts. Enter Palantir, a private company now running major databases for the US military and law enforcement. Enter BlackRock, which manages more assets than the GDP of most countries and now holds a major stake in housing, retirement funds, and public infrastructure. In fact, during the 2020 COVID crisis, BlackRock was tapped to manage parts of the US bailout program. Think about that. The government outsourced its own economic rescue to a private hedge fund. If that's not a handoff of power, what is? Now ask yourself, when was the last time a tech company was meaningfully regulated? Every congressional hearing with Zuckerberg or Google executives is a circus lawmakers fumbling over basic tech terms while billionaires grin behind their microphones. Nothing happens. No teeth, no accountability. Why? Because the regulators are either bought, clueless, or planning to work for the very companies they're supposed to oversee. The revolving door between Capitol Hill and Silicon Valley spins faster every year. Politicians serve their term, then land seven-figure jobs lobbying for tech or pharma. The watchdog becomes the pet. And the people? They keep voting, keep hoping. But the real power has already shifted. In Europe, the trend's just as alarming. The EU talks about digital rights and data privacy while simultaneously signing massive tax deals with Apple and Amazon. Ireland, once a bastion of corporate neutrality, now serves as a tax haven for some of the world's largest corporations. In Asia, tech conglomerates and state-run businesses blur the lines even more. In China, state-backed companies like Tencent and Alibaba serve dual roles as engines of profit and instruments of surveillance. In India, conglomerates like Reliance are so powerful that their decisions can tank stock markets or sway elections. And here's the twist. Even in countries where democracy still technically functions, citizens are voting in systems already bought and sold. The menu says choice, but the kitchen is owned by the same chefs. Red or blue, left or right, the donors are the same. The policy differences are cosmetic. The real issues, corporate taxes, wealth concentration, tech monopolies, remain untouched. Why? Because to touch them is to threaten the new empire. And make no mistake, we are living in an empire. Not of nations, but of multinationals. Corporations don't have borders. They don't pay allegiance to any flag. If one country regulates too hard, they relocate. If taxes go up, they offshore. If labor gets expensive, they automate. Governments move slow. Corporations move fast. And in the race for global dominance, speed wins. Still not convinced? Let's talk. Governments worldwide are scrambling to understand, let alone regulate, the explosion of artificial intelligence. But who's building it? Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Amazon. The same companies racing to control the very technology that will determine the future of jobs, surveillance, warfare, and truth itself. They're not just innovating, they're writing the new rulebook, and governments are struggling to read the first page. And if you think it stops there, take a look at outer space. NASA once owned the stars. Now SpaceX and Blue Origin are laying claim to the moon and beyond. Elon Musk has launched more satellites than entire nations. His Starlink network could one day control global internet access. In some parts of Ukraine, Starlink was the only thing keeping communications alive during war. That's right, a private billionaire provided battlefield connectivity for a sovereign nation. Let that sink in. In the 21st century, it's not the generals who win wars. It's the tech moguls. Now let's flip the lens. Subscribe for more deep dives into the shadowy forces shaping your world.